The WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is under fire this week for an interview that she did on CNBC.
But now it seems on some social media channels to have taken a darker turn, a more menacing turn, where race has been introduced into the conversation, where sexuality is sometimes introduced into the conversation. How do you try and stay ahead of that?
It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch.
Uncharitable things.
Well, the one thing that's great about the league right now, we do sit at this intersection of culture and sport and fashion and music. Like the WNBA players are really looked at now as kind of cultural icons.
True.
And when you have that, you have a lot of attention on you. There's no more apathy. Everybody cares.
Picture this. Caitlin Clark dominating on the court, looking like a clear MVP. Then boom, she's snubbed. Rachel DeMita saw it all go down, and she's not happy. Here's what really happened behind the scenes. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. You may believe that you understand why Caitlin Clark was not selected as MVP. What if I told you, though, that this is only part of the story, one that might permanently alter women's basketball? It's about a revolution the WNBA never asked for, not just about Clark anymore. For a moment, let's speak about Caitlin Clark. Not only is this girl skilled at basketball, but she's revolutionizing the sport. She has been shattering records left and right and making plays that leave people in complete shock. Really? Have you looked at her stats? They're unbelievable. Not only was Clark the talk of the town, but she dominated every conversation. There was magic every time she set foot on the court. She was collecting rebounds that looked unattainable, throwing out assists like candy, and making three-pointers like they were nothing. It resembled viewing a live highlight reel. The worst part is that she wasn't only winning over ardent supporters. Women's basketball was being seen through fresh eyes by Caitlin Clark. Many who had never watched a WNBA game before were tuning in to check out the excitement. I can assure you that they weren't let down. Because of the excitement, everyone assumed Clark would win MVP. Come on, it felt like such an obvious choice. Both in the media and on the court, she was a dominant force. With its new star, the WNBA appeared to have struck gold. However, the league suddenly throws this enormous curveball. Caitlin does not receive MVP credit. Hold on, what? Yes, you did indeed hear that. The player attracting thousands of fans and lighting up scoreboards was passed over. It's like the WNBA chose to do the opposite of what everyone anticipated. That is, zig. This is where things start to become pretty intriguing. There's more to this snub than a flashy prize. It's about much more than that. Experienced basketball player Rachel DeMita saw right through it. She stated, and I quote, "This is more than simply an award snub."
Many WNBA players were not happy with how Kathy answered this question, and they took to their own social media to address it. There's absolutely no place in sport or in life for the vile, hate, racist language, homophobic comments, and misogynistic attacks our players are facing on social media. The WNBA PA came out with an official statement. They said, "Here's the answer that the commissioner should have provided to the very clear question regarding the racism, misogyny, and harassment experienced by players. This is not about rivalries or iconic personalities fueling a business model. This kind of toxic fandom should never be tolerated or left unchecked. It demands immediate action and frankly should have been addressed long ago."
It has to do with the WNBA passing on a fantastic chance to honor a player who is drawing more fans to the sport than ever before. Consider that for a moment. Not only was Clark a fantastic basketball player, she was modifying the actual game. She was attracting new supporters and igniting interest in women's basketball in a way that had never been witnessed before. Rather than capitalizing on that momentum, the WNBA, well, mishandled the ball. They seem to have been presented with this fantastic marketing opportunity like it was on a silver platter, and they chose to ignore it. Is there another sport that could accomplish that? It would be comparable to tennis trying to minimize Serena Williams or the NBA dismissing LeBron during his prime. It's just not logical. It appears that someone has been observing more than just the scoreboard. Throughout the entire disaster, Rachel DeMita noticed something that the others had missed. It's not pretty, I assure you. Rachel isn't having it when it comes to the WNBA's attempt to hide this. Rachel DeMita is not your typical pundit. She has emerged as the fan base's spokesperson and the unsung hero we needed. While others were concentrating on the MVP snub, Rachel was going deeper. She discerned a deeper problem that has been simmering within the WNBA by seeing past the drama on the surface. What's wild, you know? The WNBA was criticized by Rachel for not being prepared for the limelight. Is that really true? This league has been battling for increased recognition, viewership, and attention, and when they do, 2, they mishandle the ball. As Rachel noted, the WNBA lost out on a great chance in Caitlin Clark. They're behaving like everything is normal instead of applauding this emerging talent who is gaining new followers by the handful. Rachel, though, didn't stop there. She took aim at the WNBA for a far more grave issue: player safety. Yes, you did indeed hear that. Player security in a league of professional sports. It seems absurd that we even need to discuss this, yet that's where we are. I'm going to quote Rachel when I say that I think she had a chance here to say, "I do not condone any hate or racism being spread by fans of this league." She was referring to WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, who made an error in an interview with CNBC.
When I saw Cathy's interview and I saw the players' response to it and I just saw this story unfolding, my honest to God first thought was the WNBA was not ready for this kind of spotlight. During a recent media interview, I was asked about the dark side of social media and online conversation about WNBA rivalries and race. To be clear, there is absolutely no place for hate or racism of any kind in the WNBA or anywhere else. The WNBA was not ready. The media was not ready for this. It was an overnight success with the WNBA.
Imagine having the opportunity to defend your guys on national television and choosing to do nothing. That's the actual event. However, things worsen. The WNBA doesn't even have a department specifically responsible for player safety, as Rachel pointed out. 2023! Is there a big sports league that does not have that? They seem to be living in prehistoric times. Rachel did not hold back. According to her, the league needs to deal with negative fans more forcefully. She wants the players to feel secure in the knowledge that they will be removed from the game and banned if some moron in the bleachers starts yelling racial insult. It's important to create a space where everyone can enjoy the game without feeling intimidated or harassed, in addition to safeguarding the other participants. What's truly remarkable about Rachel? You know, she's not merely speaking. She's demonstrating to us as supporters how to make genuine changes in the league we adore. She's utilizing her position to draw attention to topics that the WNBA would presumably prefer to remain under wraps. She is also acting out of concern for the athletes and the game. It's not because of what goes down on the floor that the WNBA's future is in jeopardy. What if the league's incapacity to handle success poses a greater threat than dwindling viewership or a lack of sponsorships? A catastrophic flaw in the WNBA's strategy may have just been revealed by the commissioner during a recent interview. You know how sometimes when you're watching a game, everything seems to be going well, but then the team as a whole finds itself in problems because of one poor play by the star player? That's exactly what happened off the court with the WNBA too. It's also far more serious than a misdirected pass or a missed shot. For a moment, let's speak about Cathy Engelbert. She is the head of the WNBA, the commissioner. You would expect that she would only care about keeping her players safe and expanding the league. Let's just say that her interview with CNBC didn't go as expected. Rather of defending her guys, she sort of blew it. Imagine this: Engelbert is discussing the league on national television. It's a fantastic chance to talk about some important problems, like abusive spectators and athlete safety, but she stumbles rather than taking them on head on. The fact that players can approach her with concerns about their safety is left unmentioned. It appears that she overlooked the most crucial aspect of her work, which is to watch out for the players. Well, so she had a bad interview, you may be thinking at this point. What's so important? As it happens, it's actually quite significant. The Players Association of the WNBA was not pleased. They made a strong first impression, declaring that racism, homophobia, misogyny, and hate had no place in sport. They're requesting that toxic fans be dealt with. They seem to be saying, hey, we'll protect ourselves if you won't. It's no longer simply about one awful interview. It concerns a league that may not be prepared for the attention it has been pursuing. Consider this: despite having celebrities like Caitlin Clark attracting fresh followers and attention, they are unsure on what to do with it. They appear to be unaware of how to behave in the major leagues because they have spent so much time playing in the minor levels. The worst aspect is that there isn't even a department in the WNBA specifically responsible for player safety. 2023. Is it possible for the NFL or NBA to exist without that? It's as though they're still using peach baskets for play while everyone else is using contemporary hoop. There are definitely major issues in the WNBA that are being brought to light by this whole situation. Highlight clips and MVP honors are things of the past. The question is whether the league can manage the limelight, safeguard its players, and recognize its stars. The WNBA faces a decision. They're receiving more attention than they ever have, but just when they should be rising, they're falling. It appears as though they have the ball in the closing seconds of the match, but they are hesitating to take the shot. The events to follow could permanently alter women's basketball. Will the WNBA take charge and deal with these problems? Will their players and supporters be heard, or will they continue to mishandle the ball?